Oh, yeah. Woo. Oh, my God. That was awesome. Let's give it a second. Give the live stream a second to blow my nose. Chill. Well, we are going to eventually, greetings, start book 2, the mission. However, you can see I had the earthwood, right? So I'm trying these new strings, less expensive than, say, like elixirs that are like, I don't know, $17 a pack, right? For 6 strings. And these were like $7, you know what I'm saying? But Ernie Ball has been around a long time. So something I noticed was usually most strings terminate with like the steel string sticking out the top, you know what I mean? But these didn't have that. And I was like, that's cool because you always poke yourself on those. So you're only risking poking yourself on, say, your higher strings down here, right? Because they're sharp. But I like them. Sound good. A little more bassy. Like, I think they had John Fogerty on the back of it. All these different artists that have used these strings or something. I don't know. Whatever. But it's so awesome to go to a local acoustic shop because it's getting harder and harder to find folk instruments in general. And then, say, like a supplier of strings is important. So if you play mandola, you go to, say, Guitar Center, you're not going to see that. You're going to see acoustic guitars, maybe acoustic bass, or a cigar box guitar, something like that. But in general, like I play that mandola, that's my beginner. The next one's going to be made in Oregon. Like a Weber is my goal. You know what I'm saying? And an oval hole versus the S-shaped pattern. But the difference is the density of the wood, right? And Oregon is known for really high quality wood, right? Forests. And I've been down there when I visited my sister, and you drive through it, and it's just thick pine forested areas. It's amazing. So we went down to the beach, and my sister took some pictures of me down there, my big fro. I now have reclaimed my mohawk. I call it the I.O. I'm trying to make a point. I've been ignored for so long. They can't ignore that. I.O. Oh, whoa. Try to distract me with another hot song, but I told him, get along, so I'm going back to the earth and would say, folk music all the way. Oh, let's wake up. And I've been waiting a long time to say, oh, I love my tribe and family. I think she sang a wolf song. Ooh. Heard her on the wind, so my heart song say, oh, shaking in the breeze. said, now take it easy. Diamond heart is the precious soul deep down, and that's no boast, you know. As I see you in the pouring rain, I started on the steel string guitar long ago. I was a young man, at the age of 16, I'm a chef in a Japanese restaurant, traditional style, baby, and they don't play, no. But another young man down the road said, my friend, will you come with me? I know, said, looking for a job. Said, wash the dish, prep the cook, chef the table, or get out the door and find another nook. Hey, take a look inside. Had a rough raisin, so I knew real good. Traditional samurai. Hi. He didn't like a lazy man, so you know, buy real quick on a quick hand sit. I can juggle, so salt and pepper up and down, plate behind my back, circle round, hey. I got a thing my mama to teach me to cook in the kitchen, be with a patient eye to teach you which way to be free on the rough road. I see on the wind, so I see on the wind, way down low. Sounds much better, yes? I think so. I like these strings, more almost like bass strings, but like a 56 millimeter, right? Like medium to heavy. But I like it. It's been a while because I've tried several strings on this instrument. And since it is so resonant, right? Picks up every little sound. So if I'm out of tune, I'll know. And then I'll go back and hear the recording. But I've gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, put it out raw. Okay. If I make a mistake, that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? and then just try to improve. But it could be tension, right, in your jaw, and it's cold, so around your ear for hearing, right, or tension in your jaw from singing or being nervous. That's awesome. I don't think I've played on these before, but they're really nice. I like them. Especially for the price. Better than paying like twice that or more, you know, almost triple. Ooh. Wow. And I like how Ernie Ball is who makes this style of string, but Earthwood, baby. Nope, not promoting the company. I'm just trying it out. So it's like other players see it, they can be like, yeah, all right, I'll try that. You know, because you have to, it costs a lot of money to go through strings. That's something people who don't play don't realize. It's like, I have to go pay for strings, you know, I have to go, you know what I'm saying. Ooh. I like that. That's cool. I always liked MTV Unplugged acoustic sets. I would watch those, like Alice in Chains. But when it came out, it was so cool. You know, like Lane Staley singing, you know. It's because he would put a lot of emotion into what he was singing. And like, if something got screwed up, he would get pissed because his feelings were invested in what was happening, where other artists might not respond that way. You know, like Chris Cornell was visceral, you know, people that sang from the depths of who they were. Jeanette, you know, Jonette Napolitano is a good example of that. Lead singer of Susie and the Banshees. Let's see, Robert Smith of The Cure. Because he just has this trippy way of taking you somewhere else, you know. And it was like, what's it, Fascination Street, you know, certain songs. But he always played acoustic, so I'm just like, oh, okay. Why was I attracted to certain artists, you know, as a kid? And like the first guitar I had was not an electric, it was an acoustic. And I had to pay for it myself. So I'm like, okay, get a job. And after a year, they're like, okay, we're going to train you as a Japanese chef, Robert. So it's a restaurant called the 47th Samurai. It's in like the heart of Salt Lake, like what is it, Trolley Square? Okay. So there's some crazy shit that happened here back then. And I guess some guy freaked out, young dude. And there was an off-duty officer in, like, I guess, Old Spaghetti Factory that's in there as well. And he was the one that actually stopped him because that dude freaked out, went on a rampage. I'm a peaceful dude. I just play music, man. I'm like, stay away from the psychos. I'm just very creative. You're like, just in your own world, yes. Kind of. Not really. I am in the world of folkishness and those who join me there. So, you know, I've noticed so many downvotes on like folk artists. Like I looked at KT Tunstall's video and she had 70 downvotes. I'm like, what the hell? That chick's rad. But, I think harmony, and it's just her and like a drummer, you know what I'm saying? But I feel it's wiser and more enjoyable to play to smaller crowds and venues rather than huge shows. Unless it's like, a couple of those a year, that's all right. But the problem is that you are disconnected from the artist because they're so high up on the altar. Did you hear what I said? The stage, altar, representation. Anyway, so that's a ritual platform, in my opinion. And so that's how I treat this. Not thinking, how much can I make before I create art? That's the mistake most people make. They get caught up on money. Look at like someone like Tolkien. He had passion behind the creation of what he wrote. He created a whole world, language, or whatever, But I'm thinking there must be something to elves because of the ancient language, right? Elfdalian or Ovdalian, right? Ovdalsk, or whatever. But I'm not an expert, but I have done some study. Ooh, the intonation is really good. I like it. So, and I purposefully kind of lowered it a bit because I've had it too high, but I have a tendency to do that. And too sharp a notes are not pleasant. You know what I mean? I'm a baritone, so if I tune it too high, it'll be harder to match notes. Anyway, I liked Casey Tunstall when she came out, Was that Black Horse in a Cherry Tree? That was a good song. I've never done covers. I just like improvise and do a version. I'll pick a few lyrics out, give it a shout out or something. You know what I'm saying? I've just never done covers. It's always improv. That comes from performing, in the park and the streets and traveling the country, performing in front of big crowds. Not music, like jousting festival. That is okay. In a jousting troupe, the joust is the key event of the entire Ren Fair. All right. So it's the main event. Got it? Like Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant or something, pretty much. So let's see. Big Bear was my last show. So beautiful area. Gigantic pine trees. Wow. Huge granite stones. And I mean big. And they're like, don't let your babies wander off. Ooh. Because the coyotes will come down. They've been known. Better watch out. So, if you're ever in danger, just know that your folks so shine on, shine on, shine on. There's my off right there. That's a write up. But these are brand new strings. So what happens when you play on it is they stretch. because they're new. Ooh, nice. Well, anyway, now break. Okay, I really like this series, and I am picky, but Kenneth C. Flint is one of the most folkish writers I've found, and it's hard to find because usually you find like Christian overlay with, you know, their reference bullshit, and you're just like, can I have some pure folkishness, please? You know, that is what's exciting and fun versus something that's kind of cheesy and childish. I don't think these books are childish, to be honest, at all. And I think they teach because it's got like a kind of a moral of the story. I don't know if you remember, but there were these red books, okay? I'm trying to remember what they were. And they would have different animals dressed in clothes on the front or whatever. And these were the stories that were read to me when I was young. And I was like, okay, it would have a hard cover, right? You know, and good artwork. Definitely important. So to me, seeing that, I'm like, that is why this is so awesome. I have to turn it this way because I have a light. 2 different light sources. Yeah, riders of the sea. I like it. And I like the way he designed it because it is like, it feels like it's designed to be read aloud, you know, and he would know that because this guy's hardcore. He's like, what is it? Master's level, you know, folklore specialist or something, but it's crazy. All right. Now drink. I found some like super crack coffee. You know what I mean? It's like extra caffeine. And I finally feel better because I was like, a little tense from playing, you know, take a break. And because I kind of go for it when I play. I had to stretch, you know what I mean? Like under your arms. The number one thing one of my massage teachers taught me for stretching, since you're like, oh, my shoulders, is stretching here, your lat, right? So if you stretch your lat, then it loosens this, right? And this has less tension. So you gotta have to be aware of how you're using your body, especially if you're online a lot. So that's something I thought about as intellectual gathering versus physical gathering. So my goal this year is to be able to, you know, put some muscle on. Because when I was working, I don't know, I probably got up to 175, and I'm not that now, you know, a little bit lighter, but becoming efficient, you can survive versus a guy that's a huge, big, muscly guy, but he's got to eat, you know, like a whole cow to keep that going. You know, if you look at Lou, he is lean, right? So what's my goal? Do that. Am I kidding? No. I'm most serious. That's the goal. Really. Will I have hair like that? Probably not. You know, but I can get my body in the best shape possible. Right? Because when you're missing teeth, you got to make everything else better. You know what I mean? Make up for the difference. Okay. Chapter 5 from book 2. And I have my mic turned down to 20%. Kind of that way I don't pick up too many outside sounds, right? And I don't overpower the mic like I have been. I might get like a a screen, like a windscreen type thing set up eventually, but it's always putting some shit in front of your face. You're like, how much shit do I need before I just record and go live and talk? And talk. I laugh. I can't even finish my word. You know, this is exciting to me because it's more personal than like, oh, well, I think I saw that dot up on the stage. Is that person singing? You know what I mean? It's like, where are they? Okay, I have to refill my coffee. Hold on. Okay. And don't lose your place. Remember, always put your bookmark in there before setting your book down. But so, a bunch of like old fantasy novels, and the person was like, "Oh, I'm going to get rid of these. I don't want them." And I'm like, no way, bro. I'll take those. Because they're like, "Well, I have it on tablet." I like having a physical copy. And then you have to have like, what is the peak of your collection that if you had to would go out the door with you? You know what I'm saying? In an emergency, because you can't take everything. You could try, but you won't be mobile. So that's what I was saying, to have like central source heritage book, right? Physical copy and digital, both. So that way, in an emergency, you could have like a memory stick and a physical copy. And that memory stick would go, in the book, probably, whatever, or wherever you put it. But making sure that you keep those records in a way where if you have to, you'll have that to go. Now, back to the source root, to memorize those bloodlines so that right? No matter what. So if that gets lost, you've got this. So for me, my dad at least explained to me what the different bloodlines were I had. And so I spent so many years helping him and living there, I memorized many of those names. Well, more so origin, some names like McHugh, and Hugh being related to a pagan deity. And I was like, whoa, so that's a direct link. So then they'll find Wood, right? The last name Wood in my family line. So only, but what I found interesting was that my great grandfather came in through Canada, right? Or my grandfather, and then his son came in down into the United States, but that was only in the 1850s. And I was tripping out on it because I thought about it and I'm like, okay, let's do some research. So I look up Trelleborg, Sweden. Okay, that's where my grandfather's from, and the ports there. All right, and those ports being associated with fishing, right? Boats, because you would fish, right? That's why our people were smart. Why were our people smart? Fish oil, baby. Yeah. So being separated from that food, that may be a key component genetically, because you are hardwired to eat a certain diet because your people lived there for so long. That's why I feel there is a harmonic frequency to your blood type, to your genetics, to all of it. Like someone has described, a huge antenna system. So your DNA working as branches like a tree, seed to root, right? And so our tribe would go back to a ancient, in my opinion, grandmother and grandfather, right? And all these tribes would have an aspect of that. So I recognize that, and I'm like, well, what makes more sense? Do you really want to be immortal by yourself forever? God damn it, that's boring. Need some company. So my opinion is make everybody immortal and good. No bitch assness. Being cool will be enforced. Grandpa's like, no. Grandmother's like, now be nice. Oreros, she looks at you. Like I said, she can be polite and sweet, or she can give you the vulva not so happy look. I told you. And then you're like, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, quick. So I feel traditionally, as my dad explained to me, because he's very folkish, and he would say, well, grandfather recognizes the importance of grandmother, therefore she is, all the way up here, right? So to me, sitting her up on the high chair, saying that vision is important. Now, if you connect that vision with creation of, children, families, and so forth, now you have something. So seed to root. And that's where the resonance is. That's what I've been tuning into. I'm like, okay, this is the goal. Make the focus connection, direct connection to family that is spirit, okay? And remembrance of that, for me, especially because of the loss of friends, my father, etc. That I focus on something positive rather than being triggered and focusing on the negative aspect, right? Obsessing on that. So I do this to focus on something else other than that. So life versus being obsessed with death. So, Christianity being focused on death and folkishness being focused on living memory, right? Now, are gods being demonized? And, that is because those are our ancestors. And I feel like we have put this on such a high plane that you are ignoring reality, a base root principle, love of family and trust. It's basic stuff, right? Love and truth. So that's why in a previous video, I said the king of love and truth. Now, what happens if he forgets love? He's pure logic, just truth, right? But he's cold. So then she is encased in ice, okay, symbolic. And the ember within, right, the heart root, the central core of your heart, is direct connection to your folk soul. That's what I feel. And we are energy that we have created during our lifetime. And I feel like, why waste time in anything else than 100% love and truth versus chaos, mistrust, and betrayal, right? Or 3-card monte, whatever, where they have 3 cups and a P, and there's no P, so they're switching it around, and you always miss it, but they get all your money. See how it goes? So philosophy can be this way. So I say, okay, if I simplify it, it's going to be really hard to confuse me. Is this love or fear? Is this love and truth? If not, then no thank you. That basic, right? Just like, okay, the missionaries that approached me didn't realize why they got such harsh treatment. At no time did I physically threaten them, but verbally cut like a sword, because they will approach you assuming that you want their philosophy. And to me, that is an encroachment of my spiritual space, right? So I don't threaten them, but I say, hey, leave me alone. Not interested. I don't want to be your buddy. And they go, oh, don't want to be friend? It's almost like I'm supposed to be guilty. I'm not. You're some young dude, right? I'm 44. And I got a 19 to 21-year-old coming up to me. Are you interested? I don't know. You haven't lived enough life, bro. So you'll have these pairs of missionaries. Well, they're out at night and they have no awareness. Like to me, my dad was on the military side. I grew up watching military movies, Full Metal Jacket, shit like that. Whatever, American Ninja. I would watch it, whatever. And so walking around at night, look at it from this perspective. You are walking down the street and you have two people, not you, my good viewers. Thank you for being here, both of you. Anyway, there's two people here. Thank you. And you have two men, right, dressed usually in a dark suit, going, "Are you interested in the Lord?" at 9 o'clock at night. You're like, "Not really, bro." That's not how I responded. I said, "Leave me alone." That was aggressive. I know it was way more aggressive than that. I'm toning it down to keep the vibe good. Just saying. But, and so, again, they're not listening. Right? I tell them, do not ever talk to me again. Get away from me. I am not interested. Leave me alone. I know who I am. I know what my heritage is. Do you know who you are? I didn't say it like that, but I'm saying it like that now. But if you want these folk artists around, you got to support them in the way of, paying attention. That's how I feel, because I see them kind of slipping through the cracks. You get the big shows, right? And everybody wants to be there. But think about the stress. They run you on the road. Like Jonette Napolitano. I talk about her like, because she's amazing. Okay. And her getting burned out where they're like, run you, right? And she said, as she got older, I will tour 1 week out of the month, right? And rest. So that gives her time to rest and be creative, because if you're constantly improving, you're building. So that when you play the song, it's not exactly the same way every time, because you're going to get really bored mechanically doing that. So I decided I will just create live, raw. And I don't want to play with all the software garbage and the boxes and the shit. I just am done. This is easier. So possibly these are pretty good mics, because they have I have 4 on top, right? Now, the key is to not have the volume turned up so high that you pop the mic. You know what I'm saying? I have a tendency to do that. With that said, now that I am relaxed, drink, hail our folk. Hail our folk. Say it like that. From the mountains to the oak, hail our folk. Better? Okay. Chapter 5. A challenge. The chill evening rain whipped the hilltop fortress called Tara. Sharp gusts of wind drove it in stinging blasts against the wooden palisades and the central hall. Worn by the constant punishing storms, the neglected structures, sagged forlornly. Up the hill along a path now more stream than a road, a lone figure struggled toward the gateway in the outer wall. It was a hard climb through the clinging mud against the battering wind. He was forced to clasp his heavy woolen cloak tightly about him to keep the storm from tearing it away. Wow, so high winds. Let's see. Yes. The cloaked traveler finally reached the gates and found them open. They swung warily with harsh, protesting groans. In the harassing winds, he paused by them, waiting for the challenge of a guard. When no one appeared, he hesitantly went on through the gates and into the fortress grounds. The central practice field's a place for warriors to train and boys to play at. Hurley was a morass of puddles and heaped mud. Rivulets of rain had cut deep into a surface that constant use should have kept smooth and packed hard. The cloaked figure paused again to look about. The yard, the whole fortress seemed deserted. Not a soul moved anywhere. Only the great circular hall ahead showed any signs of life. Their light showed through gaps in the broken wattle of the walls. So that's like, anyway. Smoke rose from the chimney hole to be whisked away into the night. Next page. Oh, all righty. Might have to turn my heater on. I don't know. Nope, just tough it out. Mountain man, tough. I'm out here. Yeah. All right. I hope you laughed. I say things hoping you guys are laughing somewhere or happy. Depends on the emotion being transmitted. Let's see. Through the astral realm. Okay. The traveler crossed the yard toward the hall, hopping spot to spot in a vain attempt to avoid the deepest puddles. The large door was closed, and he beat upon the thick wood with both hands, hoping someone inside would hear. Then he waited, pressed tight against the door to escape the water, which ran in a sheet from the roof edge. Finally, the door opened just enough to allow a face to peer out. It was a hostile sort of face, with bushy, flaring eyebrows and mustache, and it regarded the cloaked traveler with suspicion. It's a bit late to be going visiting, don't you think? The man asked irritably. I'm a poor wanderer, sir, the sodden figure answered humbly. I've come a great hard way, and I'm only seeking some simple shelter and a bit of food. The doorkeeper laughed loudly at that. It was a grating, unpleasant sound. If you've come here for that, it's the worst choice you've ever made! Exclamation point. The laughter died, and he added roughly, Now get on! Exclamation point. I'm going to do it again. There's nothing for you! Exclamation point. Okay. He started to swing the door, but the traveler pushed forward, blocking it open with one arm. I'll work for it, he told the servant earnestly. You will ya? The man replied scornfully. Let's have a look at ya. The figure leaned forward into the light, a smooth young face. Dripping hair plastered to a high forehead came into view. A boy? The doorkeeper declared. I thought as much. And what's your name, boy? I'm called Lou, sir, he answered courteously. Well, young Lou, just what do you think you could do that would be of any worth to the High King of Tara? Ooh, here we go. We all know this one, right? The High King of Tara. I've had training as a carpenter, the traveler offered. We have a carpenter here, Lukdar, son of Lukaid, was the reply. I've had training as a smith as well. Our smith, Colum Mac, does all of our work, was the bored response. I can play the harp, sing songs, tell fine tales. We've many who can do the same. The doorkeeper told him, yawning. Ah, I'm trained in the warrior's arts. Warriors are as common as fluttering crows, the man countered warily. He began to edge the door closed as the visitor kept on gamely trying. I can work in silver, brass, and gold. Ah, so can Kredne, or Kurdne, I don't know how to say it. I have a healer's skills. So does the High King's physician. I can play all sorts of games. No. I can cook. No. Then let me be a cupbearer to the king. No. The man shouted through the remaining crack. King Bress has a man who's master of every skill you've named. Ah, here we go, guys. And ladies. Ladies and gentlemen. Before Lou could act, he slammed the door closed. Wait! Almost lost my headphones. Lou cried desperately. Tell me if he has one man who is master of them all. There was no response. Lou turned and dropped back warily against the rough timbers, feeling defeated. Was his mission here to end so abruptly before he'd even begun? Cracked my voice, time to have a drink. He'd done what Mananan had told him. What could he do now? He nearly fell backward as the door behind him popped open again. The bristly face peeped out at him with narrowed eyes. Can you really do all those things you named? He asked skeptically. Every one. Lou replied with renewed hope. Go on, boy. No one could be master of them all. I could. Lou said stoutly and added challengingly. Go ask your King Bress if there's another here who could. If there is, I'll not bother you any longer. I can't ask him that. I'll look a fool, the doorkeeper protested. I can prove my skills. Any one or all. Wow. And he can. Lou assured him, trying to look more confident than he felt. I don't believe it. It's not for you to believe it or not, Lou said with authority. Carry my question to him. Let him decide. The doorkeeper shrugged. Well, there's nothing to be lost by asking, I suppose. He pulled the door wider. Come in. Come in here and wring yourself out a bit, he said. But as Lou moved forward, the man held him a moment with his hand, adding gruffly, You'd best not be lying, though, boy. You don't know what you've wandered into here. He turned round and tramped away from Lou. The boy moved on into the hall, closing the door behind him. The room now before him seemed at first a welcome contrast to the dismal night outside. Hey, just a second. Have a drink. Hail our folk. Thank you very much. Thank you. Because I noticed something that was really cool. This guy has both Nordic, right, and Irish themes. So you like get an ad mixture because you see it in the way he writes. Anyway, I noticed. But I have a trained eye, you know. The great hall of Tara was a glowing tapestry of sensations, woven of sounds and smells of colors and textures that drew their strands round the cold and dripping lad. In size, it was much smaller than the bright, airy she of Mananan, but it was still impressive. An outer wall of timbers formed the circle around the central fire pit. See? Circle round, always. Always. That's like the foundation, and everything's built around it, right? The central fire. Wooden partitions fixed by bright copper rivets so they can do metal work, divided the area around the outer walls into separate spaces and opened into the main part of the hall. Also, my dad, I did like some rudimentary armor making, but our head armor was the one who did the welding. He would make the helms, to cut out the body pieces and different things, but he would do the heavy duty shit. Between those rooms and the fire's edge, low tables filled the open floor, providing space for the hundreds of warriors to dine. The inner timbers spaced round the fire pit, which supported the thatched roof. Okay, let me start that again. The inner timbers spaced round the fire pit, which supported the thatched roof, were thicker than a man and soared up nearly 5 times a man's height. So let's say 30 feet. Okay? Because I'm 6 feet tall. All the wood was red hue, faced with glowing bronze. The timbers were carved from the top to bottom with sinuous lines of the artist's skill, with curiously distorted birds and beasts who intertwined in play to form one complex continuous design. So knotwork, K-N-O-T, baby. Design both the bewildered and delighted the eye at once. So behind me, of course, you can see that right up here. Let's see, right there, all that knotwork. See it? Should I turn this so you can see it? I don't know. Maybe. Let's see. If I turn it off, what it'll look like. Oh, shit. Am I here? Oh, be harder to see. See, bots. No, it disappeared. Bam. All right. Disappear, reappear, baby. In the circling rooms were gathered the nobility of the fortress, chieftains, bards, and druids, feasting with their families and friends, enjoying the activities in the central portion of the hall. The place was alive with music and laughter. Jugglers and acrobats moved amongst the crowd. Near the room's front, musicians played, filling the air with a fast, merry tune. Pipes and, tiompan, T-I-O-M-P-A-N, and harp created their own tapestry of sound, the drummer tapping out a vigorous rhythm on the skin. Pipers and harpers spinning their light air about it, high and shining like silver and gold threads woven into the design. Round the warriors' table, the men ate and drank, indulging in their most loved sport, talk, or rhetoric. Most of them were between the fire and the door. Across the fire, there was the open space before the raised platform of the High King's table. Here were gathered the most favored of the company. The group of men and women about the long table were a bright spot of rich clothing and ornaments like a jeweled brooch on a cloak. It was toward this room that the doorkeeper was making his way, winding through the maze of tables. None of the gathering took notice of his passing, save for one. A weary, raggedly bearded face lifted its dull-eyed stare from the table's top as the servant brushed by. He watched with a vague, blurry curiosity as the doorkeeper approached the royal dais, bowed low, and spoke to someone in the group. A man seated in the midst of the others leaned forward to listen, then craned his neck round to look toward Lou. The others in the group did the same. The isolated drinker turned too, wondering and wondering what was of such interest. The object of all these stares smiled back at them as amiably as he could. The man in the center of the company, Lou assumed it was King Bress, spoke to the doorkeeper, gestured toward Lou, then sat back, smiling himself. All of them appeared to be smiling, and that cheered the boy a bit. He waited expectantly as the servant turned and marched briskly back to him. Okay, let me get a drink. Hail, hail. All right, lad. Bress will see ya, the doorkeeper announced. Go on up there. But be careful. Bress is not one to be taking chances with. Lou straightened his rain-soaked cloak the best way he could, pushed back the matted hair from his forehead, and strode down purposefully toward the group. He tried not to look self-conscious under the staring eyes. As he neared them, he began to take in details of the individuals there. See, Lou is constantly taking an inventory. And so Talta, the druidess, would have trained him, and she did too. Taught about a fight. And think. What he saw drained away his bit of cheer. They were tall and lean and held themselves with self-conscious haughtiness. I've come across knights like that at Ren fairs. Their features were bold with strong sculptured noses and chins, but their expressions were coldly aloof, eyes sweeping and arrogantly over Lou. He realized that their smiles held no welcome for him, only pompous amusement at the sight of his bedraggled wanderer. He stopped before them, the man seated in their midst. Shifted forward, and Lou had his first close look at the High King Bress. The king was certainly an impressive man, although different from the others. His figure was more massive, the shoulders broader, the head square and settled sturdily on a muscular neck. His features were more roughly hewn, his hair dark and rippling back from his forehead in thick waves. The physical nature of Bress was very pronounced. Suppressed energy surged through the taut body. Here was a being who thrived on movement, a warrior who found inactivity an irritant. Lou assessed this much of the man, before meeting his gaze directly. When he did, it was as if night lightning had flashed unexpectedly, illuminating a scene clearly for an instant. And for that instant, Lou was certain that he knew this man, that they shared some inner secret that only the two of them could understand. Then, like lightning, the impression flickered out, leaving him to doubt the reality of the image in the uncertain darkness. But Bress had seen it too. Lou could tell that. The man's smile had frozen and the eyes gone blank in the same instant of contact. He had covered his confusion by breaking off the gaze, sweeping his head round to smile at his company before looking back at Lou. "Well now," he said in a soft, slow, oddly gentle voice. "Well now. You're a bit of a young for claiming such great skills, aren't you?" The words were mocking. Okay, start again. "You're a bit young for claiming such great skills, aren't you?" The words were mocking, but the dark eyes were scrutinizing Lou with deliberation. Vress was a warrior who had survived by calculating every element, every risk. Now he had felt something he didn't understand, and it disturbed him. This knowledge came to Lou in a rush. He wasn't sure how he could so easily understand the king's character, but he didn't doubt the truth of it. Vress was indeed someone that he had to beware. The others were laughing insolently. Hold on. The others were laughing insolently at Lou after the king's remark. All they saw was a ragged, dripping vagabond, a peasant boy whom their king had called in for some amusement. "How did you learn of these skills of yours?" Vress asked. "I've learned them in my travels, sir," Lou told him. "It's how I live." It's true. That's why you would have those skills, not entertainment. "And just where have you traveled, boy?" Family histories, remember? Being carried by different levels of, say, an Olam versus an entry-level bard. Big difference. "In the lands to the east," he replied promptly. This answer, like the others, had been supplied to him by Mannanan. It was, "Fishermen brought me here." "Who are your people?" "That I don't know at all, sir. I've been wandering alone since I can remember." "By the look of him, he's no Fomor," said a raven-beaked fellow behind the king. "But by the smell, he's surely not high-born." Ooh, that was not a compliment. Wow. His raspy caw of laughter was joined by the women's twittering. Whatever. I don't know. "Well, if he has all the skills he claims, we should call him Ildanok, master of all arts." That's Illdanach. I might also say Dan in the middle, Danu, right? Anyway, goddess. Just saying. Another of the men exclaimed, "A master of all swine." Ooh, shit. That was disrespect, man. Damn. Okay. That's capital letters. You're like, oh, shit. "A master of all swine would be more suited to his looks." A third responded, and they all joined in callous laughter. Lou flushed with anger and embarrassment. Oh, he had no way to respond to this undeserved ridicule. He asked only for some simple hospitality. Now, that's important, right? Now, hospitality can be rejected or accepted two ways, right? One's honor and trust, everything's good. The other one is either the person there is doing something disrespectful, or the person feigning hospitality has bad intention. But if they have good intention, then it's a good party, right? Got it. If Mannanan wanted him to learn about these people, he was surely doing so in the worst way, and he certainly didn't like what he was learning. He told himself to hold back his mounting rage. He had to keep patience. keep patience, to do what he had to do. He first had to be accepted here. At the tables behind him, the one bearded drinker, moving this forward a little bit. Okay. Had watched this exchange with his own growing fury. Now he leapt to his feet. I've listened to this for long enough. I've listened to this for long enough. He shouted. No, one should be denied hospitality in the house of two Arthur Daytonon. Bress looked toward the figure irritably. Old man, what's shaking you out of your drunken slumber? He demanded. Ah, a drunkard I may be, the other answered, but I'll not see you shame this boy when all he asks is a chance to prove himself. Lou looked round at the lone figure. He stood stiffly erect, vibrating with his anger. Got it? Okay, sorry. Okay. Oh my God, I lost my place. That was too much. I hope you laughed. Okay, focus. That was hardcore. Okay, I can do it. Give me a chance. All right. Lou down here. Yes, vibrating with his anger. His spare, weathered face, stubbled with gray beard, was hard. His eyes glittered sharply with defiance. The voice of Bress took on a more strident note as he responded. Nuada, you've no say in the court now. No say, the old man cried. His right hand rose suddenly from his side, lifted high, and fell in one sweeping stroke. It shattered the thick planks before him, collapsing the table in a splintered heap. With cries of terror, round Bress pulled back. So those round Bress pulled back. I skipped one word. Okay. All right. Nuada stepped toward them, the hand rising again. Oh, yeah. It shone bright silver in the firelight and seemed huge to Lou. He stared at it in fascination as it lifted to point at Bress threateningly. The silver hand is the only say left to me, he said fiercely. But by its power, I'll see you give this boy his chance. So that is the end of chapter 5. Ooh, this looks cool. So next chapter will be the Battle Raven. Should I keep going? Okay, you're still here. Awesome. This looks cool. All right, let's do it. The Battle Raven. All right. Get up out of my froggy stance here. All right. Bress was unimpressed by this performance. Nuada, your drinking has made you a madman, surely. He told the old man as if addressing a troublesome child. Oh, shit. I'll not be threatened by you no matter how much furniture you destroy. So he's calling him a fat ass. That's me. Oh, shit. Well, he's so big and strong. It's like, you know, that dude from Iceland that deadlifts 1,000 pounds or some shit. You know what I mean? Wait, Bress. He may be right, said a new voice from the group. Bress looked round in surprise as a girl moved out from the others to stand beside him. She seemed very young to Lou, her features softer, less austere than those of other women. Her small nose and high cheekbones were dusted with freckles and a wavy flow of warm. Let's see. A wavy flow of warm. Okay, that's how he writes. Red-brown hair fell freely about her shoulders, but her shining brown eyes swept him with a gaze as unfeeling as the rest, and her words were scornful and cruel. This boy should be made to show his skills to us. Oh, come now. Let's see, Ein or Ain? A-I-N-E. Bress replied. Why waste time with the whelp? He's clearly lying in his claims. He has made a challenge, cousin. She reminded him firmly. So now they're honor bound to meet the challenge, right? If you send him away without making him prove it, and this is also rite of passage, right? Big deal. And he's a teenager, so he has to prove it. You'll make him seem the winner. You'll make it look as if you were afraid to try him. Ooh. Are ya yellow? Remember that? Back to the Future. Who would believe that? He asked derisively, but a faint doubt tightened the lines about his eyes. Who Antara wouldn't like to believe it? She countered. She knelt by him and spoke with intensity. Do you want a chance giving them another hero? Another reason to call you scornful names? No. You have to try him. Make him look the fool. Wow. She laid a hand on his arm and smiled winningly, adding in a cajoling way. Besides, cousin, no matter how badly he does, we can still have some sport with him. Bress looked into the innocent, smiling face and laughed. Let's see. So young you are to have such a wicked mind, he said, stroking the soft cheek. All right, Ain. We'll try the lad, stroking the soft cheek. And you can choose the skill he'll demonstrate for us. Oh, cousin, what fun, she said gleefully. She jumped up and turned to Lou, eyeing him carefully as she considered. Oh, God. Lou watched her, his nervousness increasing. What was this pretty but very nasty young woman going to make him prove his bragging claims? Oh, my God. Okay, concentrate. He said he was a harper. Oh, shit, calling him out. She announced at last. Oh, let him play for us. We've no good harpers left here anymore. The harp? Relief flooded Lou at her words. Of all the ways he might have been tried, this was the one he felt surest about. Yeah, they screwed up Lou's bomb. I can rock. A sense of confidence began to return to him. Fetch the boy a harp, quickly. Bress barked at the sharp-nosed man. A harp was brought to Lou. It was a finely wrought instrument. Ooh, nice. It would have been so nice back then. Oh, my God. And the boy held it for a moment, running his hands over the carved ivory and gold, lightly caressing the strings. Oh, yes. He recalled another instrument, not so fine as this one, but his own left behind in the ruins of the flaming home. Now then, boy, try to play it, Bress demanded impatiently. Let's have this over with. Lou concentrated his attention on the harp, the room, the situation. His own fears faded away. He knew now was the time when the skills of Tolta had given him would be his only aid. He trusted to her teaching and began to play. His music was like sunlight flooding the room. It was swept back the nights that swept back the night's shadows and the damp, chill air. The company, so recently laughing at Lou, suddenly found themselves enchanted. The music cheered and saddened, soothed and aroused all at once. Their arrogance dissolved in human warmth as they were drawn completely within the spell cast by the harp. All except for Bress. When he saw what the music was doing to his companions, he reacted sharply. "Enough of this!" he cried, the cold words splashing like icy water on the slumbering group, snapping them back to life. "He's not so bad now, is he?" Nuada challenged, grinning with enjoyment at the High King's obvious discomfort. "The boy can play," Bress admitted grudgingly. "But it's only one skill. He claims many." This time, however, there was no supporting words from those round him. The boy's playing had won the admiration of the company. By his skill with the harp alone, he has proven his worth, one of the ladies suggested. "He is finer than any harper I have yet heard." There were murmurs of agreement from the others, but Bress cut them short. "No, such skill at playing tells me that he could not have had the time to master others. We must try him at something else." "What will you try?" the beaked man asked. "We can't have him work metal or do healing here and now." "Try him at games," said Ain. "He said he was a master of them too, didn't you, boy?" So we had we had the games, right? And then the joust. So it was not just jousting when I was touring. You would have to set the field, and you would have 3 ropes and 2 lanes. So the knights would hit generally in the center. So you would say, "Come about," right? Because you would let them know what the other knight was doing at the opposite end so they don't get hit, unaware. Does it make sense? I think it does. "I have knowledge of many," Lou replied, a bit less humbly than before. With his first success, his confidence is building. His confidence had grown immeasurably. "I'd say I was a fair hand at most of them." "Oh, a fair hand, is it?" Bress repeated mockingly. "Then let's see you try that hand at the chessboards." A carved board with gleaming pieces of silver and gold was set up before the company. The beaked nose one began playing casually at first against the boy. Then, with more care and finally desperation, as Lou destroyed his attack and won in a scorn of moves. Now, remember, thought and memory, right? Right? The raven beaked nose, you're getting it? Symbology. See how I'm saying that they're mixing Nordic and Irish storytelling or classic folk lore. Anyway, more of the king's followers tried. Each one lost as the victories mounted. Remember, they're playing chess. Lou's trashing everybody. He's beating everyone. So did the... Hold on. As the victories mounted, so did the audible support from the company for this amazing lad in the end forgetting their positions. They cheered with open enthusiasm as opponents met defeat, much to the frustration of Bress. When no more challengers could be found, Nuada prodded gleefully at his High King. Perhaps you'd play against the lad yourself if you still doubt his skills. You're said to be the finest in all Ire. Bress threw a dark look at the silver-handed one. It was clear to Lou that he had no chance of being bested by this ragged youth. The humiliation of the others had been quite enough. Yet he wasn't about to give up. More than ever now, he needed to defeat Lou and be rid of him. These skills we've seen so far are only to entertain. There is another, more valuable, which can demonstrate to us here. He looked at Lou. You claimed that you were trained as a warrior. Oh, shit. Didn't ya? I did. Lou responded brightly. He was feeling by this time that there was no test that he couldn't pass. I've been taught well in the arts of warfare. Oh, yeah. Remember when he first left, he was ready for battle, right? But she knocked him out with one punch, put him on the boat, and sent him to Mananan, right? And then she enchanted the boat, right? And that calls Mananan, since she touches the water. Think about it, because he's only immortal in the sea. Once he steps on land, he's pretty much like a really strong human, but he could be killed. On the sea, nope. Anyway. And you would be willing to demonstrate those skills to us? Willingly I would, sir. Lou agreed emphatically. Willingly I would, sir. Good, Bress said with satisfaction. Then we'll have a bit of a contest. He lifted his voice and called out, oh shit, here we go. Morrigan! Oh shit. At this call, a figure rose from behind the group, where Lou had not seen it before. It moved forward round the others into the firelight. It was a woman, but any surprise Lou felt at that was obscured by his first impression of her, for she was a strange figure, unlike any woman he had ever seen. She was very tall, over a head above Lou, and very thin. I don't think Lou was short. So, 7 feet tall. Wow. Holy shit. The long, straight body was shrouded by a heavy black cloak, furled round her like great wings. Her head was nearly a skull, the pale skin drawn tightly over sharp cheekbones and jutting chin. The eyes an ice blue glitter deep within shadowed sockets. The effect of it was further exaggerated by the glossy black hair pulled tightly back from a high forehead. You notice he keeps saying that that's like a distinct feature, because I've heard him reference that more than once, and this guy's well researched. Anyway, fastened behind and left to flow past the shoulders in a wave that glistened like moonlight on a midnight stream. You can't pit Morrigan against the boy, Nuada protested sharply. He's not a warrior, and he's unarmed, and he may be right again, cousin, Ain agreed. Drink? Let's see. Lou thought he noted a touch of concern in her voice, and Bress must have to. He looked sharply round at her. Worried about the lad now, are ya? He asked. This was your suggestion, remember? I suggested we test him, yes, she said. But Morrigan is a bit single-minded in this. Lou had already noticed that. The tall woman didn't seem to have been softened by his music. Oh shit. Or impressed by the gaming skills. She was staring at him with keen intensity of a hawk tracking its prey. Whoa. A little of Lou's confidence faded, but she was a woman, and a thin one at that, he told himself, and this was only going to be a demonstration, a friendly contest. Not with Morgan, it won't be. Oh, shit. She doesn't pull punches. Anyway, while he was working his confidence back up with these points, Bress was countering the objections. Look here, since I began this little trial ritual, Nuada's been throwing this boy's successes up to me. Well, if he's as good at fighting as the other things, I'll take someone of Morrigan's ability to test him. He looked at her. And you'll be careful, won't ya, Morrigan? Oh, shit. Her steady gaze remained fixed on Lou, the thin mouth parted slightly in a smile, revealing even lines of small, white, pointed teeth. I'll try to be. Oh, that's creepy. She said in a voice that rattled like tree limbs in a winter wind. I'll try to be. Okay, here we go. So this is Bress. Then get the boy some weapons, Nuada said. He'll use mine. The old man came round the tables to Lou. He threw back his cloak and drew out a long end and a short sword. As he did so, Lou noted with interest that the silver hand moved with the same flexibility as the other. Nuada handed the weapons over. Leaning closer, he said urgently, Listen, boy, be careful. Bress means to see you dead in this. Ooh. I don't think so, Lou answered easily. What harm can she do me? Oh, he doesn't know yet. He took the weapons and tested them. They were well made. He smiled at the old man. But I do thank you for the help. Nuada shook his head resignedly and stepped back. Lou pulled off his cloak and Morrigan did the same. Oh shit, it's high noon. Here we go. Duel. Gonna have a duel between Lou and Morrigan. Beneath hers, she wore only a warrior's short tunic belted by her sword harness. Her bare arms and legs were unnaturally long, thin and hard, all bones and tendons. They looked with great hands and clawed, bony fingers. She drew out her own sword in a short, double-bladed axe, set herself to fight. Listen to that description. Holy shit. Is that the equivalent of pulling off your high heel? Be like, rah! You know what I'm saying? Oh shit, both of them. They're like, bam, double-fisted shit, right? Wow. So, her long corded neck craned forward, the glittering eyes fixed on him, fixed on him. Oh boy, Bress called to him. Before you start, there is something I should mention to you. Morrigan has promised to take care, and she does have a taste for blood. Oh shit. When she scents it, she loses all control. Oh shit. Goes berserker, right? Or I call Uber Volva. Oh god. She becomes quite unpleasant then. Shapeshifter, remember? So please try not to bleed, all right? Oh shit. Lou looked from Bress to the woman. She was smiling a bit more widely now, and she saw the tip of her tongue flick lightly over those sharp white teeth. Wow. It occurred to him that Nuada's warning should not have been ignored. Okay. I was thinking about internet dating. I'm like, beware. Oh my God. I'm just joking. I've never done that. There's a reason anyway. Then Bress gave the signal to begin, and Lou had no more time to consider. The woman was on him. Her attack was incredibly swift. She moved with sudden, jerking movements, so fast she seemed to be coming from several points at once. Driving in with both weapons, she poked and scratched at him and flapped round him continuously while he moved and parried furiously just to keep her off. She seemed to have unlimited energy, but the constant effort began to tire him. While he was able to barely hold his own, he knew that he'd slow soon and then she'd strike through his defenses. And yet, he also knew he couldn't lose this. It was the crucial trial, or ritual, rite of passage. If she defeated him too easily or too soon, Bress would be rid of him without delay. He called upon every bit of knowledge, every trick taught him by Tolta and her veteran warriors, Druides. The Druides! Sorry, that was deep. Drink? Yes, yes. Keep my thumb there so I know where I am. All right. Okay. Oh, yes. Nothing seemed to slow the woman down. He backed toward the fire, trying at least to limit the direction of her attack. As he did, he realized that her lunges at him were becoming erratic. He watched her moves carefully and finally understood what was causing the change as he moved before the fire, the bright light of the flames flickering round him, throwing him into deep shadow while the rays shone into Morrigan's eyes. The flashes seemed to distract her, like a shining bubble attracting a raven's eye. Her thrusts became more blind. He began to use her weakness, jerking from left to right. Now remember, Lou is light, or the lynx. Huh? Oh, a cat. Maybe. Constantly so that the flares of light pulled her attention back and forth, keeping her off balance. It gave him a little breathing space. Soon her frustration at being so distracted brought her in closer, and she took more chances, striking at him more widely. Angrily, he looked for an opening, hoping to disarm her without having to wound her. Then he saw his chance. He brought her axe round in a wide curve, backed with all her strength. Oh, so she brought it back. He sidestepped it easily, and the weapon struck a thick roof support, sinking deeply into the hard oak. It stuck there. Oh, see symbology more. She thrust up with the sword in her other hand, but Lou was ready. He caught her blade between both of his, and, with a deft twist, wrenched it from her grip. It spun away, glittering to fall into the fire. A supportive cry went up from the watchers at Lou's successful move, but his victory was a short-lived one. The disarmed woman drove forward with her head at the unexpected boy. He staggered back and fell, striking his head against the rough corner of the hearthstones. More symbology. Hearthstone's cauldron, see, round. He sat up groggily, his temple hot with pain. He saw Morrigan standing over him, arms raised, legs bent, perched as if to swoop. Her head was forward, the blue glass beads, as if to, let's see, her eyes fixed on him greedily. The wound on his head was bleeding, he realized. He could feel the wet ooze of it as he watched the hungry light flare in her eyes. I've had that feeling. I think after some kind of injury. Oh, yeah. But it felt cold. It was the weirdest feeling. I don't know. I guess it drops temp once it's out of your body, but whatever. Watch the tongue flick out across the fine, sharp teeth. He tried to get his weapons up in defense, but she struck too swiftly. With a hoarse cry that was both hiss and shriek at once, she threw herself upon him. Her weight drove him back against the hearth, but as he fell, he realized with horror that it was now no human being that was upon him, but a giant raven, bigger than a hawk. Wow. Black as a moonless sea. The bird was maddened by a bloodlust, fighting to strike at his bleeding wound, raking at his chest with its great claws, beating him about the head with heavy wings that raised a deafening thunder in his ears. So furious was the attack, so stunning in its speed, that the astonished Lou was clearly helpless. The swords fell from his hands as he raised one arm to shield his face and the other to try to hold the raven off. He was unable to get up or move away. The bird's beak struck in a blur of speed, jabbing at his eyes, cutting his cheek, tearing his forearm. A detached corner of his mind registered that this bird was going to kill him here. It would tear out his throat, pluck out his eyes, sit on his carcass. Oh my God, that's true. And slake its thirst in his blood. And he hadn't the strength to stop it. Then a hand came into his view. It was a silver hand that same detached portion of his mind regarded it with curiosity. The hand was so close that Lude could see it in its fine details, etched nails and lines of flexing joints, even the faint marks of engraved hair. I might also add that Gothic armor is more detailed, and you will see hinges versus a plate covering over your hand. Does that make sense? Like individual fingerets versus just a plate. That makes sense, right? So I didn't get to make that because I was a road squire. All the other Mormon guys wanted to stay there. I'm like, stay with your wives then. I'm unmarried and I'm single and see ya. They hired him, so I couldn't control who they hired, whatever, but that's what it was. We're out in rural Utah. What do you expect? So anyway, the hand gripped the bird about its thick neck, clenched tight and pulled. The bird was torn away from Lou, flapping and screeching its claws and beak, still trying to rake the boy. Lou sat up to see it dangling above him, held out safely at arm's length in Nuada's silver hand. Now listen to the detail he describes it with. It's like, wow, like down to the fingernail, like it literally looks like a hand. So think about that, like mechanically, energetically, like enchanting it, right? Where it moves in a similar way that a cybernetics would, right? Enough, the old man shouted. He threw the bird away from him with a slight movement of his hand which sent it across the room to land like a tattered scrap of black cloth amidst the tables. It lay motionless a moment, and then it began to move. In amazement, Lou watched the bird's form convulse, shimmer, and suddenly expand as the raven resumed the shape of Morrigan. Her face was contorted with the blind fury of a raptor driven from its kill. She started back toward Nuada, but the hand came up toward her. Back, Morrigan, or I'll wring the scrawny neck of yours, as I would any crow's. Wow. She hesitated, staring fearfully at the gleaming hand. Then her fury died. She slumped back on a bench, drained at her mad energy. The lanky boy folded up. Now, I'm going to stop and pause and comment on that for a moment. Now, Morrigan was considered like a triple goddess, right? And so there's multiple variations of that, but really what it is the goddess of the land and the sovereignty goddess, right? It makes sense. So you have also personal sovereignty. Through rite of passage, you gather to yourself what? Standing, which is sovereignty upon the land, in my opinion. All right. Nuada turned toward the High King. This boy has proven his skills, he announced. Few warriors could have done so well against her. She would have beaten him, Bress argued. Would you have done better, Bress? Nuada countered. He's done enough to prove himself. Even your own people agree. There were mutterings of assent, and Bress glared about at them. They fell silent, but none would meet his eyes. And if you can't find the generosity, hold on. We'll start that again, but hail. All right. And breathe. And if you can't find the generosity to give him what he's earned, I'll give it myself, the old man added. I'll take him to my home and see he has the comforts of a guest. You've no right to interfere in this, Nuada, Bress warned darkly. Then you keep me from it. The old man answered him, so he just challenged him, right? For a long moment, the two glared stubbornly at one another. Then, realizing where all sympathy would lie in this, Bress sank back sullenly. Take the boy and be damned, he growled. Take the boy and be damned. Nuada went quickly to the still dazed Lou. He took the weapons from the boy and helped him up. Come on, lad, he said, boo-boo, putting a supporting arm about Lou's shoulders. Let's be out of here. Even if I can't only find you a cowshed, it'll be better than any comforts you'll find here. As he urged Lou toward the door, Bress watched them go. Now remember the sacred cow? All right? Whatever it was, right? Gave milk forever. I don't know. Special cow. All his battle instinct for survival aroused. There was something very wrong about this boy. He signaled sharply, and the beaked one leaned down to him. Keep a close look on that boy, Negran. Report to me on everything he does. The man nodded. Behind him, the girl Ain, overhearing the order, nodded too. Outside the hall, the cool wind whipped the fine rain about Lou and Nuada. It seemed refreshing to Lou now, stimulating his wrenched, overheated body and bringing him back to full consciousness. You come to my quarters, lad, Nuada said. I'll have that wound tended and give you food and a place to rest. It's not a king's hall, but it's dry and warm. But, sir, I'd really hoped for more than a bed tonight, Lou ventured. I'd stay longer here. You won't stay here, Nuada asked in dismay. He stopped to face Lou, saying emphatically, Boy, why? What you've seen here so far isn't the worst of it. I'd like a chance to find that out for myself, sir. I want to stay. You are a stubborn one, Nuada said. Then a smile lit the worn face. I've not seen anyone with your courage for a long time. Then his smile faded again, and he shook his head, adding doubtfully, I don't know. You've surely earned the right to stay if you choose. Still, you shouldn't decide too quickly. Stay with me tonight. Tomorrow I'll have a young nephew of mine show all of Tara to you. Go with him. See it all. Then you can decide. All right. I will do that, Lou promised him. Good, Nuada said, throwing a helping arm over Lou's shoulder again. You are a lad with the will to fight still in you. I've no wish to see you destroyed by the plague on us. And that is the end of that chapter. The next one will be chapter 7, The Foe More, but I'm not going to do that right now. Alrighty. That was a good read. Try to improve each time, right? You start fumbling a little bit after talking for a while, but keep going. Mm-hmm. Excellent. Okay. Now, to check this, because it's been sitting, and after it's been sitting for a minute, the strings settle. There we go. Ooh. Let's see. It's too low. Ooh, listen to that bass. I'm sorry if I hit it so hard. I know. I mean to stress people out. Jeez. That's so cool. These heads are designed, you can kind of lock in. Ooh, that's rad. I love these strings. Interesting. There we go. I like this. I don't generally play on this brand of string, but it's cool. I like it. It's more like a bass string, but I like that shit. I'm a baritone. All right. My dad told me about these guys in Russia that could sing like, I don't know, 4 bars or something, 2 to 4 bars below a bass. So that's like, how deep is that shit? It's like, wow. You know, would that make your vocal cords thicker living in a colder part of the world, right? Maybe. It'd have to be tougher, right, to handle it, I guess, but it's kind of a trippy thought, right? Ooh, and they're way flexible too. That's easier. That's rad. Nice. Oh, wait. Hold on. There we go. Ooh, nice. Sometimes I'll do that a couple times, right? Oh, yes, yeah. I called the Morrigan. Join. Goddess of the sovereignty. Oh. Put some light gauge of these on the Seagull Mahogany Folk acoustic guitar, and I'll play that tomorrow. But tonight, nice, love it. That is cool. Too much pop. Gonna flex. Okay, here we go. You hear that resonance? Big difference. Wow. Holy shit. Well, I think I got a winner. Yeah. Oh. Is the trouble you see on the land? Trouble on the land, yo. Oh. Think they call a Morrigan. Sun shining on the side of the mountain. Or maybe it was Kresnik. Remember? Kresnik on the side of the mountain B. I-O. On the golden mountain. Say, I-O. Sovereignty of the land, oh. Goddess on the way. Sometimes she brings the springtime. Sometimes she's an aspect of an archetype greater than this. I said, you know. Reach deep down inside. Deep down inside. Goddess of sovereignty. Oh. Reach deep down, hey, deep down, you know, you have love to stay. is a trouble on the land. I caught the Morrigan. It was disrespect, they said. What? She said, Morrigan, they have got one of your jewesses over there, ready for the fire. What say you? Where? She was gone, as if she was never there. She appeared round the fire, 7 feet tall, like a giant raven, looking down round them, quickly slicing the ropes off, plucking her from the flames. And in a vanish, she was in safety in a cottage in the woodland B.I.O. Say, I.O. Sovereignty of the land, oh. Morrigan overhead. So go round like a razor sharp beak, they say. I don't think she'd be defeated so easily, since she is a grand vulva equivalent, wouldn't you say? Druidess on the way. Ayo! Scold, scold, scold in the woodland said. Just a scald in the woodland bee. Scald in the woodland bee, oh. World on fire, world on fire, say. Right in the pouring rain. Morrigan overhead. Sovereignty of the land, no. Ready? So easy on the way, right the way, boy, right the way, easy. You ride the wave as rough as I am, I know. Deep down in the folk soul. Improvise battle ready, they said. They said. They said. You ready on the way. You better listen to wisdom's keep it slow. You can see, oh, way down, say, will. Deep down. Wow. I'm very impressed. We'll just say that. Wow. It's cool. Yeah. Radness. Love it. Super positive, baby. Oh, yeah. I was feeling really tense earlier, you know what I'm saying? Just like I noticed it was in the air, like the change of weather all of a sudden, the cloud coverage earlier, the lag on the internet. So like that other video I took down because of lag. So I was really hoping I would get a good one, you know what I'm saying? Because otherwise it distorts the recording. And I could have it in perfect tune, but lag will jack it. You're like, no. So I stopped because I did that to myself once, you know. You record for like an hour and you have lag and you're like, no, I wanted to speak clearly. May I be frank, oh yeah. I think that's my middle name, to speak freely, oh. Thank you, grandfather, for sharing your name. Said, oh, well, my grandfather was a greaser in the old way. On a racetrack, mud track, burning it like, you know, tougher than James Dean. Look rough. Lift the engine block, said it. Man, I-O. You stand at the line. All I can see at this speed is the line. On the highway. On the highway. Oh. Wow. Well, I would consider this a very good test of these strings. Good test, right? Important. Once upon a flame, oh, tree flaming well, oh, can you hear it whistling through the woodlands? I-oh, the woodlands, I-oh, by the oak tree with fear, folk free for sure. I know I play blindfolded in the woodland bee, I-oh. So this piece of music right here, I wrote for my friend's daughter that passed away. And it was for a song called "Oh Child." And it's kind of like reaching into the spirit world and saying, sorry, it's really personal. It's important. And saying, you mattered, and I remember you. And I radiate that forever. I mean it. And her name was Destiny. And she passed away in Salt Lake, so I'm not going into detail. Vibe. Though I lose the words to say, all I can do is feel, see, all I can do is feel, oh child. Freedom, oh, down. Down, I know, heart and soul, freedom, soul, such a pure soul. When it's time to roll out, and there's trouble on the wind, I'm calling destiny to say she's a warrior of heart and soul, forevermore. Say I know, see. Long way to a destiny. Remember you in the circle round forevermore. Say it. Well, Morgan knows what you did in the place you thought no one was looking. She's coming on the wing. that maybe they'll send a 6-foot bobcat running down the mountain side, shining in the moonlight. She'll be on down the way. Yeah. Oh, 2. There we go. That's rad. Radness. Love it. So cool. Yeah. Well, my tears fell down. That's real. This ain't no act. That's how I feel. So I feel. So I feel. On a destiny. Remember forevermore. Said. Cold and sea from the other realm, you know. Grandmother, grandfather on the wind here, here. Well, you said you know the power of a folk soul rhythm. Come on, hey, which way you going now? Which way you going now? On the way, you know. Circle round, oh, circle round love's flame, way down here, on a destiny, on a destiny, oh. Said, master of all trades, they say. So they say. I mean, I know. I can't help it. I'm so impressed with the playability of these strings that I don't even know what to say. It's awesomeness. And I want to furthermore thank you for hanging out here with me the whole time. Marathon, baby. Yeah, woo! Yeah, up the vibe, make it positive, right? 20% on the mic. That way I'm not popping. Now, when I get to hear the playback, which I'm going to do right after this, I'm going to listen, right? See, I might listen to it multiple times. Now, if I made it really good, I'm going to be happy at the end. I'll be like, yes, I did it. Yes. I feel really good. But improvement always. Next time, in tune, do big, right? But for tonight, unless I get a wild hair, most likely this is it. But tomorrow, it's on. All right? Excellent. Yes, we know what Wednesday is, right? Wednesday. Oh, we know who's coming. Oh, wait, do we? I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. Circle around. Tree, flame, and well. Grandmother, grandfather, bless our circle round. I-O. Circle, round, and ground. Down. Back up and fly.